Hi, I am Johnny on the Spot, science reporter for the Real News Network, and today I'm being joined by
Professor Lizzie, Professor Yeet,
and Inspector Home Run.
And we're the Teenage Super Sleuth.
Okay, and for all of you listening at home, Professor Lizzie looks an awful lot like Taylor Swift. No. Professor Yeats looks an awful lot like Ariana Grande, and Inspector Home Run looks an awful lot like who?
The other way around.
It's the other way around?
No, I look like Ariana Grande. She looks like Taylor Swift.
Okay, we're having a little disagreement here in Adam Levine, but we'll be right back in a few minutes with some review of some of this cryptic information that they've sent me. Okay, this is Johnny on the Spot, science reporter for the Real News Network, and today I'm being joined by some very special guests.
Yeah! Professor Lizzie, who looks like Ariana Grande. Professor Yeet, who looks like Taylor Swift.
Inspector Home Run, who looks like Adam Levine. And they're
the Teenage Super Sleuth!
All righty. And wait, go ahead, say it real quick.
Professor Home Run is hilarious.
Okay.
It's not forgetting his name.
Okay. All right. Now, looks to me like we have some observations. Now, you got to remember, Professor Yeats and Professor Lizzie, they have multiple PhDs. They're only 12 and 13 years old, but they have PhDs. 11. I'm sorry. I gave her an extra year. But the bottom line is they have PhDs in nuclear physics, chemical engineering, you name it. But they sent me this cryptic message, and it says here, if something is understood, it can be modeled. Once again, I don't have the PhD that they do, so I don't know what they mean. Okay? It says if something is understood, a consensus is meaningless. Right? So, I'm sorry, if something isn't understood, a consensus is meaningless. So basically, I think what they're saying there is if everybody takes a consensus that the Earth is flat, it doesn't mean the Earth's going to be flat. I think I could figure that one out on my own. Confidence increased as model failures increased. Does that make sense? Confidence increased as the model's failures increased? I'm going to have to find out what they mean with that one. And a settled science would have a single model. So, see, this is all this PhD stuff. I don't exactly know what it means, but let's go take a look. Oh, okay, I see. So what you're saying now, Professor Yeats and Lizzie, you tell me if I've got this right. Okay. Down here we have observations. This is actually comes from what? Balloons and satellites. So this is the actual temperature measurement, right?
Yes, it is. Exactly.
Oh, okay. And then these, it looks to me like these are all model outputs. It looks to me like you've got probably about 100 and some of these models or something?
Yeah.
Okay, and so these models are way up here with their predictions, and actual reality is down here, right?
Yep.
So that's what you mean by if something is understood, it could be modeled, because it looks to me like they're not modeling them very well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like if I was going to model gravity, and if I dropped something, it would fall at 9.8 meters per second squared no matter where I was, right?
Yes.
If I dropped it here, I could test that 1,000,000 times, and I'd have one single model.
Yep.
Oh, so like what you're saying is if gravity settled science, there's only one model that works, right?
Yep.
And yet they have a settled science where they have an infinite number of these models, and none of them are accurate. Does that even make any sense at all?
Yeah.
That's kind of the wackiest claim I've never heard of a settled science that can't model.
Trust us.
Okay, I don't know.
We're always right.
Okay, I know you're always right, but man, this is just so hard to believe. So, okay, so I see your point. One, that if it was a settled science, you wouldn't have a bunch of models. You'd only have one model.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Is that right, Professor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Now the other one is if it's understood, it would accurately reflect reality, right? It wouldn't be way up here. It'd be way down here modeling reality, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, what good is a model if it doesn't represent reality?
Definitely.
The other thing that you said was as the models got worse, confidence levels increased. Does that make sense at all? The worse of a job you do, the more confident you are?
Yeah.
Because that's what it looks like. Over time, the confidence levels of these climate scientists increased, but their models continually get worse.
Yeah, exactly.
That's unbelievable. All right, and what was the other point you made? If something is understood, it can be modeled. Well, the climate models clearly don't model the climate. If something isn't understood, a consensus is meaningless, which is pretty much what this is saying, right? Supposedly there's a consensus of climate scientists, but how can you have a consensus on something that they can't even model? That even makes worse, right?
Yeah.
I've never even heard of something as crazy as that. And then confidence increases, model failures increase. That's like saying the worse you get at something, the better you think you are. That's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. And what was
but-
and a settled science would have a single. Wow. So those were some unbelievably important points. And it's all represented right here in this chart. And this chart, you're telling me you didn't make this stuff up, right?
No, this is 100% real information, top secret.
And we can trust you because you have 3 PhDs
Yeah,
from Harvard University.
Yep.
And Professor Yeats has 4 PhDs from Oxford University.
Yep, exactly.
So you are real scientists making these observations.
Yes.
And somehow Al Gore and every single science teacher in our public
They're
schools
lying
has
and they're
missed this.
wrong.
Wow. Okay, so like, share, subscribe, and comment, and share this information only with your most trusted allies, right?
No teachers, not in the
te-
classroom.
Not in the classroom.
Top secret info. No
All right.
one else.
Signing out, and check back for more videos.